You think women only sleep with men because he's tall, rich, or smooth? No. I've given my body to men I swore I'd never touch, men who weren't even my type. Because of triggers I couldn't fight. Triggers that bypass logic, pierce our guard, and make us crave a man until we can't resist him. I've seen my friends do it. I've done it. And your girl, she's wired the same. This is Alpha Truzen. If you're ready to understand what really drives attraction, subscribe now, and let's go deeper. These are the 11 hidden triggers that make women surrender their bodies to men. And number 9, that's the one we fear. The most because it makes us ache even when we're in another man's bed. And your girl, she's wired the same. These are the 11 hidden triggers that make women surrender their bodies to men. And number 9, that's the one we fear the most because it makes us ache even when we're in another man's bed. The forbidden restraint. This is the one that keeps us awake at night. Not the man who kissed us quickly. Not the one who rushed into our body the moment we gave him an opening. No, it's the man who wanted us, who looked at us with hunger in his eyes but didn't take us. That restraint is torture. And it's the kind of torture that makes us obsess. Here's the truth. Most men collapse the second they sense sexual opportunity. They dive in, they grab, they chase, and yes, it flatters the ego, but it doesn't make us crave. It makes us yawn because there's no tension, no space for our imagination to spiral. But the man who withholds, the one who touches lightly, then pulls away, who kisses once and then stops first, that man sets fire to our bodies. We replay the moment over and over, imagining what would have happened if he hadn't pulled back. And imagination always burns hotter than reality. I've lived it. A man once brushed his lips against mine, lingered for a heartbeat, then stopped. My whole body screamed for more. That night I couldn't focus on anything else. I wanted him more than the men who actually kissed me fully, because his restraint flipped the script. I wasn't the one being pursued anymore. I was the one chasing. The psychology is primal. When desire is withheld, it multiplies. Restraint makes women the aggressors. And when we're the ones pursuing, the surrender is deeper, more desperate, more raw. Here's your rule. Don't rush. Don't grab. Don't give her everything at once. Touch, then pause. Kiss, then pull back. Look like you want her, but act like you can wait forever. That tension will gnaw at her until she can't stand it. And when she finally gives in, it won't feel like you took her. It'll feel like she gave herself to you. And nothing terrifies a woman more than the thought of being replaced, which is exactly what Trigger 2 reveals. Fear of replacement. I've given myself to men I wasn't even sure I loved just because I was terrified another woman might take my place in his bed. That fear of being replaced, it hijacks our minds. It makes us do things we swore we'd never do. And it makes us chase men we once thought we controlled. Here's the truth. Women don't just want to be wanted. We want to feel irreplaceable. We want to know no other woman could touch what we've claimed. But the second we sense your attention drifting, when you laugh too easily with another girl, when you pull back your energy, when you seem lighter without us, we panic. I felt it. A man once ignored me after weeks of my games. I thought I had him hooked. Then one night, I saw him at a party smiling effortlessly with another woman. My chest tightened. My stomach flipped. I hated her instantly. Not because she did anything wrong, but because she was near him. That night, I seduced him. Not out of love, but out of fear. I needed to win him back before someone else claimed what was mine. The psychology is primal. Women will surrender to a man rather than risk being replaced. Desire becomes less about love and more about survival. Sex becomes our proof, our desperate way of re-establishing our claim. Here's your rule. Never lock yourself onto her pedestal. Live a life where you're naturally seen, desired, respected. Let her see other women noticing you. Don't brag, don't fake it. Just move with value. And the threat of replacement will do all the work. She'll fight for you, she'll compete, and she'll give herself to you faster than she ever planned. Because the thought of losing you doesn't just sting, it terrifies us. And when you combine that fear with silence, you unleash Trigger 3, the weapon of silence. Silence was supposed to be our weapon. We use it to test men, to punish them, to make them chase. But the man who turns silence against us, who doesn't panic, doesn't double text, doesn't beg, That silence makes us lose our minds. It doesn't just make us think, it makes us crave. Here's the truth. Women thrive on reactions. We pull away to see if you'll chase. We delay replies to see if you'll fold. Most men fail instantly. They send follow-ups, call, apologize, or over-explain. The second they do, we know we've won. We know we have control. But the man who matches our silence, who doesn't flinch, who carries on as if nothing happened, that man terrifies us. Because suddenly, the silence we created to control him becomes the silence that controls us. I've lived it. I ignored a man once, expecting him to spiral. Instead, he vanished into silence just as easily as I did. Hours turned into days. My chest grew heavy. My mind spun with images. Was he with someone else? Was he done with me? That silence I thought would make him chase instead made me ache. By the time I texted him back, I wasn't testing. I was begging for his attention. The psychology is brutal. Silence breeds imagination. And imagination always burns hotter than reality. The less you say, the more we invent. And what we invent is always more erotic, more dangerous, more consuming than anything you could show us directly. Here's your rule. Never chase silence with words. Never over-explain, never beg, mirror her energy. Stay calm, because when you refuse to play her game, she'll turn the silence into her own torment. She'll break first, and when she does, she'll come back with hunger. Because nothing unsettles a woman more than a man who doesn't need her noise. And when you mix silence with danger, that's when you unlock trigger 4, the dark edge. The men who haunt me the most weren't the safest ones. They weren't the sweet ones who gave me everything I asked for. No, they were the men with an edge. Men who carried danger in their silence, discipline in their eyes, and restraint in their touch. That quiet darkness made me want them more than I wanted comfort. Here's the truth. Women are addicted to contrast. We want protection, yes, but we also want to feel that fire in your chest, the untamed part you keep leashed. Safe men make us feel secure. Dangerous men make us feel alive. The rare man who is both. He becomes unforgettable. I felt it. I sat across from a man once, calm, composed, polite, but his energy was different. His eyes were steady but piercing, like he knew something about the world I didn't. He didn't brag, he didn't perform, but my body reacted. My pulse quickened, my mind whispered. This man could ruin me if he wanted to. That fantasy alone was enough to make me ache for him. The psychology is primal. Women crave masculine danger wrapped in control. We don't want chaos, but we want to feel the possibility of it. The thought that you could dominate us, but choose not to. That choice is the ultimate aphrodisiac. Here's your rule. Never sand down your edges to make yourself safe. Safe men become invisible. Cultivate discipline, but don't hide the dark streak underneath. Let her see glimpses of the man who could break her if he wanted. That silent danger makes her imagination run wild, and what she imagines will always turn her on more than what you reveal. Because a man with an edge doesn't just attract us, he imprints on us. And once she feels that imprint, even emotional intimacy becomes foreplay, which is exactly what Trigger 5 unlocks. The mirror of desire. The fastest I've given myself to a man wasn't because he was rich, hot, or smooth. It was because he saw me. Not my body, not my makeup, not my clothes. He mirrored feelings I didn't even admit to myself. And in that moment, I felt naked long before he ever touched me. Here's the truth. Women drown in our emotions. We're ruled by them, flooded by them, sometimes even lost in them. Most men don't get it. They brush them aside, try to fix them or worse, dismiss them as drama. But the rare man who listens, who slows down, who looks us in the eye and calmly reflects, "You're overwhelmed, aren't you?" That man undresses us without laying a hand. I've lived it. I once spiraled about work, venting, snapping, pushing away. Every man before had tried to fix it. But this one, he leaned closer and said, "You're not angry. You're tired of carrying it all alone, aren't you?" My walls collapsed. I felt exposed, vulnerable, seen. That emotional intimacy hit me harder than any touch. Hours later, I wanted his body as much as his presence. The psychology is simple. Women crave being seen. True intimacy isn't built on compliments. It's built on resonance. When you mirror our feelings, you enter our inner world. And once you're in, the body follows. Here's your rule. Don't debate her emotions. Don't try to solve them. Mirror them. Name what she feels without judgment. Show her you're inside her head, not outside of it. Because once a woman feels that deeply understood, her guard drops. And when the guard drops, desire slips in. Because when she feels seen, she doesn't just want to talk, she wants to be touched. But attention is a currency. And when you make it scarce, that's when trigger 6 takes over. Scarcity of attention. I'll confess something cruel. The less of your attention we get, the more our bodies burn for it. Attention is the drug women crave most. And the man who rations it, who gives it in drops instead of floods, becomes the one we can't stop chasing. Here's the truth. Most men drown us in attention. They text back instantly, double message when we don't reply. Like every photo, compliment every outfit, and yes, it flatters for a moment, but then it dies. Why? Because what's abundant loses value. Cheap attention feels like background noise. But the man who withholds, the man who makes us wait for a glance, for a reply, for a word of approval, that man haunts us because suddenly his attention feels rare, precious, worth performing for. We start posting pictures just to catch his eye. We linger near him, hoping for his focus. And when he doesn't give it, we spiral into obsession. I've lived it. I once posted a picture dressed to be noticed by one man. He didn't like it, didn't comment, didn't react. My chest tightened. Hours later, I wasn't thinking about the dozens who did notice. I was thinking only of him. His absence made me crave him harder than anyone else's presence. The psychology is brutal. Scarcity creates value. And in a woman's mind, the man whose attention is hardest to earn is the man whose body we want most. Because if his gaze is rare, his touch must be rarer still. And that makes us desperate to be the one who finally gets it. Here's your rule. Never flood her with easy attention. Make it selective, measured, earned. Because the moment she realizes your focus is a luxury, she'll chase it with everything she has, including her body. And when other women start chasing you too, that's when trigger 7 explodes. The aura of status. I've slept with men I didn't even like, men I swore weren't my type. Why? Because every other woman in the room wanted them. That hunger in their eyes infected me too, and suddenly I didn't just want him. I wanted to win him. Here's the truth. Women don't just look at you. We look at how the world sees you, how other men treat you, how women react when you walk in. Status is a drug. And when we see other women circling, our bodies go into competition mode. I've felt it. I once saw a man enter a room. He wasn't loud, he wasn't trying to show off, but his presence shifted everything. Men respected him. Women glanced at him. Conversations tilted toward him. I told myself I wasn't interested. But the second I saw another woman lean in, laugh at his words, touch his arm, I felt it. That sharp sting of jealousy, that sudden hunger to claim him before she could. The psychology is primal. Desire is contagious. When other women want a man, our brains assume he must be valuable. Social proof flips a switch. We don't want to be left out. We don't want to lose. And sex becomes the prize in that silent competition. Here's your rule. Never downplay your presence. Don't hide your light to make women comfortable. Own your space. Build respect without begging for it. Because the higher your value in the eyes of others, the more desperate she becomes to secure you before anyone else does. And once she's competing with her own mind, she'll chase harder than you ever could. But sometimes it's not competition that breaks us. It's when you use our own words against us. That's trigger 8, the memory strike. The man who remembered my words and threw them back at me made me feel naked in a way no touch ever could. It wasn't romance. It wasn't sweetness. It was power. Because suddenly I realized I couldn't twist him, couldn't spin him, couldn't escape him. And that loss of control made me want him even more. Here's the truth. Women live in our words. We talk endlessly, confess, contradict, exaggerate. Most men forget half of what we say. But the rare man who listens, truly listens, and calmly uses our own words later, he dominates us without raising his voice. I've lived it. I once told a man, I hate when people waste my time. Weeks later, I flaked on him, expecting him to shrug. Instead, he looked at me with steady eyes and said, Didn't you tell me wasting time was your biggest pet peeve?